In this video, we will be seeing developing an employee communication. So following are the steps to create an effective internal communication. So we'll go step by step. First one is build the business case. So employee communication starts with the top management. So it is a CEO or executive leadership which set the stage for communication through words and deeds. So use survey data, organization, and information from other sources so that they can go for internal communication. Gather broad input. One should have a plan. A good starting point in developing an employee communication is to have a series of discussion with the groups within the organization. So the people might be the CEO, the vice president, the managers, and finally the employees. Identify the gaps. So input received will help in determining what is need to be told to the employees from the management side. And once they find the gap, they have to go for communicating the information. Develop an action plan. This plan will consist of objectives and tactics to help in the meeting those objectives. So here they have to have a plan, what type of information they have to put forward to the employees. Challenge will be to find common points and to focus on what employees really need to know about the job. Gain management commitment to the plan. So here, the communication which is to be told to the employees, it has to be accepted by the uh, management. Here, HR nor corporate communication alone can achieve success with an internal communication if the plan does not have the support from the management. So here, whatever the communication has to be told to the employees, it has to be supported by the management. Implement the plan. After formulation of the plan, the next step is to implement the plan for maintaining effective communication between the employee and organization and measure the result. So here, the impact of strategy on the level of communication, how much the communication is happening and whether the communication is filling the gap which was there prior. Now we will see the special employee communication. So there are some special employee communication situations that are encountered when communication is there between the employee and organization. So it involves the communication with union members, conditions of collective bargaining, and employee benefits. So we will see one by one. So unions in the workforce environment. So unions provide a mechanism between a mechanism of dialogue between workers and employers. So they build uh, build trust and commitment among the workforce and ensures that employees don't face any problems, or they any problem which they face can be resolved quickly. So this brings significant productivity benefits to their companies. So union representatives help to lower accident rates at the workplace and reduce stress-related ill health costs. For example, working long hours, working in a poor quality environment, all these are being removed by the union by having a good communication with their employers. Union represent not only the workers in a particular business but also the other related organization issues. So this provide a broad perspective on many workplaces issues and industry knowledge that can be very useful for the companies. So this will make the workplaces more effective to the workers, improving staff retention, absenteeism, productivity, as well as reducing management time spent addressing the grievances. Second one is public relation in collective bargaining. If there is any problem in the organization, or if there is any problem the person is facing in an organization, handling it singly or individually is very difficult because he will not have enough power to face the uh, employers. But if the issue is being discussed with the entire workforce and they are made aware of what is happening, and if you go for giving a solution to it, this will bands all workforce together, which can pressurize the company, which will go for uh, accepting the problem and going for giving solution to the problem. Communicating employee benefits. So employee benefits are optional, non-wage compensation provided to the employees in addition to their normal wages and salaries. So these type of benefits might include group insurance, disability income protection, retirement benefits, and many other, which has to be communicated to the employees at a right time. So organization communicates with their employees and understand their needs and wants. Accordingly, they have to fulfill the employee benefits. Now we will see the rules for effective employee relation or communication. Employees must be told first. So they must not learn significant news from other channels of the organized other channels. They have to be told first from the side of the organization. Uh, Tell the bad news along with the good news. Employees are just like any other public. So if they hear only good news from the source, they will recognize that source has no credibility. If an organization try to keep a lid on a bad news, it will build a trust relation. If an organization tries to keep a lid on bad news, it will never build a trust relation with the employee. So always see that you go for telling the bad news along with the good news. So telling all the good news will make them feel that there is no credibility to what they are being told. But if you even tell the bad news, if any issues happening in the organization, so organization employees can go for trusting the uh, organization, and they can go for finding the solutions. Ensure timeliness. Sometimes informations are taken as a property of managers. They don't give the information on time. They feel that the managers go for giving information when they feel to communicate. But no, here PR practitioners should be quick enough to make the communication reach towards their audiences whenever required. Survey revealed that employees consistently rank organization plans for future above all the other topics of interest about their employers. So there should be utmost priority in employee communication. So here, anything which is related to the organization plans for future, that has to be communicated on time towards their employees. Employees must be informed on subjects they consider important. So information which the employee feel it is relevant and important, that has to be told to the employees. Use the media that employee trust. So go for sharing the communication through the media which the employee trust. The next one is media of employee communication, which medias they, which through which media the employers can go for communicating to their employees. Internal media. Media of employee communication explains how to get the employee's message across the employees. So with the help of a right media, they can go for managing to reach the large number of employees on an ongoing basis. So there are different types of internal media, channels of internal media. We'll go one by one. The first one is memos. A business memo is a formal written message, and it is given to someone to meet the specific need. It is a form of dialogue where the writer wants to say something and expects a response to that particular message. Business memos solve problems and act a means of decision making. In memos, it describes the problem. A request for information or additional resources contain proposals or requests for proposals. There will be some explanation for the policy statement. It might also contain some office instructions. It will persuade the person to take action, invite the reader to business meeting. So all these are the elements which can be in memos. Circulars. A circular letter is one which is sent out to many people at the same time. So one letter is being prepared and it will be duplicated, and it will be passed on to staff, circulated among the staff in order to reach the communication towards each person, so that one can fill it and give his or own comments on a specific matter. Notices may be oral or written or in the form of notification issued or published in some news media. The notice must be given to the members before the meeting is being conducted, mainly 1 week before the meeting. The notice informs the members the date, time, and place of the meeting. It also must include the agenda, which are the highlights in the meeting. This would allow the members to get prepared for the meeting. So, what should a notice contain? A venue, the day, the date, and time of meeting, details of any special businesses to be discussed at the meeting, the type of meeting, the name of person calling the meeting, usually the chairperson, the date of the notice. Intranet. So it is a computer world. Online system has given new image in the area of communication. So interconnects or intranet interconnects all the computers within the organization, which will help the employers to go for fast communication within their employees. Emails. Emails refers to the messages sent over the computers uh, to any place of the world. So email sends a message to a person without making any direct contact. Occasional and special media. So these are the miscellaneous topics which are being prepared at irregular intervals by few publications. So professionals, writers have forms ranging from mimeographed one-sheet leaflets to books. Because of the legal requirements, government regulations, or company policy, the responsibility of these is handed over to the HR department, where they have to go for communicating all these things to their employees. So first one is leaflets. A leaflet is a single printed sheet. It is used to explain the message. So leaflet can be inserted into a envelope bearing a postal stamp. This leaflet is used uh, to either convince a person to take part in certain uh, fest or some meetings. Booklets. Booklet is a very small book consisting of not more than 8 to 10 pages. It is fastened with the staples or glue to allow it to open as a book. A booklet is usually mailed in an envelope, or it is provided directly to the employees. Catalogs. Catalogs consist of each and every details of the product and services of the business house. Envelope enclosure. So it is a bunch of papers which is being posted separately. It may be a circular or a folder. Posters and billboards. Billboards is a large outdoor advertisement which is placed in a passing pedestrians, where that pedestrians and employees that can be set within the organization premises. Bulletin board or a pin board or a notice board. Such a board is used in many organizations to circulate the information towards the employees. So it is always the bulletin board should be up to date and attractive, and should be placed where employees make more assemblies. Information rack is a receptacle containing reading matter, which the employees are invited and can use it for free. Message displays. These are inexpensive way to deliver a message to a large number of people. They are posted anywhere, and employees can see them within the organization. Okay, next one is communication policy. What is the requirement of uh, the communication? So communication policies set expectations and manage the flow of communication within and outside an organization. It is very important to set policies that facilitate communication necessary for employee productivity and morale without restricting communication so much that employees feel intimidated and powerless. Having a good communication policy will result in removing the conflicts and misunderstanding in the organization. Workplace communication. Employee communication policies can vary according to the organization type. In military, they have a strict chain command, and while such policies typically mimicked at private companies. For example, a clerical worker having an issue with a co-worker or a manager, so she can go for intimating the issues with the immediate supervisor. If the problem is very difficult to be handled by the supervisor, then there will be a further chain of command where the supervisor can take it to the next higher level. So this is what the communication follows. Purpose of communication policy. So it is the main purpose of communication policy is to control the communication between the company and its stakeholders, so that there is a continuous and timely disclosure of information to avoid selective disclosure of company information. There should be a policy manual. Most workplace policies are communicated to employees through a company handbook or policy. So here, the communication policy manual is given to the new hirees during orientation, so that they can come to know the rules and regulations of the organization about the proper dress code, professional etiquettes, and basic workday procedures. And the main purpose of communication policy is also to get uniformity in the organization. For example, if there is no policy discretion in direction in the organization, employees tends to having their own personal standards. One might come with a suit, or other person might come with a t-shirts or jeans. So there will not be uniformity in the organization. In order to get the uniformity in the organization, the rules and regulations are given in the policy handbook, so that they can go through and follow the same. Best practices communication policy is also directed to the employees, so that they can uh, have a best practices in their organization. Safety, safety is another driver of policy. If you have rules and regulations on how to work in the organization with ethical behavior, this will dissuade employees from regular activities that get them and get you into trouble. Establishing communication policy. So what is the process of communication policy in building a communication policy? Set up a committee or working group, setting up and engaging the correct people to go for setting up a or to go for preparing a communication policy. Consult stakeholders before going for setting up a communication policy. Go for consulting with employees board and other stakeholders who will be affected because of policy inclusions. So you have to go with the discussion and take the insights about the policies. Devise draft policy. The communication policy is devised and circulated and revised. Set policy implementation date. Once the communication policy is been revised, it has to or it has been agreed upon, set the implementation date. Once that implementation is happened, then go for monitoring and review. Monitoring is whether the staff responsible, whether the staff are following the communication policy or not, whether they are loyal and faithful towards the policy. Distributing the policy manual, keeping all the policy in one place, make them easy for all the employees to go through the policy manual, or it can be copied and given to all the members of the organization and stakeholders. Ensure effectiveness. In order to ensure the effectiveness of communication policy, companies should seek regular feedbacks, so that they can go for listening to suggestions regarding communication according to making changes in the communication policy. Next one we will see is organization culture. First, we will see the meaning. So, culture of an organization represents certain predefined policies. So, organization represents some predefined policies which guide the employees to behave or sense a direction at the workplace. So, culture decides the way the employees interact at their workplace. We will see the characteristics of an organization culture. First one is innovation or risk orientation. Companies with a culture that place a high value on innovation. So company having a culture of innovation or high value on innovation, they take risk. The employees take risk and innovate in their performance of the jobs. Company with a culture which plays a low value on innovation expect their employees to do their job which is regular and which they were trained on, without looking for any improvement in their performance. Second one is attention to detail or precision orientation. The company with the culture that which plays a high value on attention to detail, they expect their employees to be accurate in their work. They don't want any changes in their work. A culture that plays a high value on attention to detail, they want their employees to perform in the precision. Culture that plays a low value, they don't follow this and they want some changes in their work. Emphasis on outcome, achievement orientation. Companies that focus on results but not how the results were achieved. Place a high emphasis on the value of organization culture. A company that instructs a sales force to do whatever it takes to get the sales order. So they don't want to know how it is being achieved. Only thing is they focus on results. Emphasis on people, fairness orientation. Company that place a high value on characteristics of this organization culture place a great deal of importance on how their decisions will affect their people in their organization. And the people who have high value on fairness orientation, they feel they give importance to their employees with respect and dignity. Teamwork, collaboration orientations, company that organize work activities around teams. Here, if the organization give high value to teamwork, they go for organizing the team activity, work activities in and around the team. But if the people who work for these type of companies tend to have a positive relationship with their co-workers. Aggressiveness, it can be described as a degree to extent to which people are aggressive or competitive, rather being unconcerned or relaxed. Stability, the degree to which extent to which maintaining status quo is emphasized in contrast to growth. We have some elements of organization culture. These are the elements which you can see as our culture in the organization. Artifacts, the tangible things that represent a culture. They contain symbolical characteristics. They act as a reminders and trigger such companies' first product, awards gained in the challenging competition. So the product, first company product or awards gained, that becomes a tangible things which reminds the organization about their culture. Stories, histories, myths, legends, and jokes. Culture is also passed in forms of stories in a planned manner through learning device. Rituals, rites, ceremonies, and celebrations. So these are repetitive in nature and they have particular meaning. Some organizations go for having ceremonies every year or celebrations or certain rituals uh, occasionally in an organization, which is a repeated task in the organization. They may link with an organization even such as launching of a new product. Heroes, the people who act as a role models or ideals in culture are called as heroes. They teach the employees how to behave honestly and ideally. For example, the college like Vivekananda College of Engineering and Technology, they go for having an idol or hero as Vivekananda, where the employees or the management follow the footsteps of Vivekananda. Symbols and symbolic actions, they remind the people about norms or beliefs related to the culture. So here, here the culture is on the basis of beliefs, symbols in an organization, which carry the image of the products on the walls or handshakes between the different members across the globe. Values. So here, for example, in India, where we go for having a symbol of action is Namaste, which shows our culture. That is what is elements. Values, the goals, views, and philosophies that an organization shares. The example, the organization mission statement is a value which they show that that is their culture. Norms, the ways of doing things in the organization, the rules, tasks, and standards of organization, for example, dress codes or way of addressing superiors and subordinates. Attitude, attitudes are the external demonstration of inherent thoughts that people display while interacting with others. Next, we will see the different types of culture. The first one is clan culture. Clan culture is a very friendly place to work where people share a lot of themselves. It is like an extended family. Here, the leaders are more of a father figures. The organization is held together through loyalty and tradition. There is a great involvement by everyone. The organization emphasizes on long-term human resource development, and there is a bond between the colleagues, and there is morals. Success is defined within the framework of addressing the needs and needs of the clients and caring for the people. And here they go for promoting uh, teamwork, participation, and harmony. The second one is hierarchy culture. So this is quite formalized and structured work environment. This type of hierarchy culture you can see in military forces, where it is very formalized, structured place to work, and procedures govern what people do. So here leaders are proud of their efficiency-based coordination in the organization. Keeping the organization functioning smoothly is the most crucial for the leaders. Formal rules and policies keep the organization together, and there is because of the stability and results paired with the efficient and smooth functioning of the task. So here trustful delivery, smooth planning, and low cost defines the success. The advocacy culture, here they believe in creative working environment. Employees take risk. Leaders are seen as innovators and risk takers. Experiment and innovations are which is being motivated in this or in this type of organization. The company which follow advocacy culture, they go for creative working, and employees are made to take risk. Leaders also go for the leaders are also innovators and risk takers. The long term goal is to grow and create new resources. Market culture, this is a result based organization that emphasizes finishing work and getting things done. People are competitive and focused on goals. They are tough and have high expectations. The emphasis on winning keeps the organization together. Reputations and success are the most important thing under market culture. Market penetration and stock are the definition of success. Competitive prices and market leadership are very important. Here the organization style is based on competition with their competitors. Now we will see the different process of creating organization culture. So when an entrepreneur plans to begin a business, the foremost thing in his mind is to create a product and services which he is going to offer to its customers. He does not give importance to the culture first. But when the organization matures and gains success, he has to develop a culture which is unique and different from others. So we will see the steps. First one is establishing values. When a new organization is developing its culture, the first step is to go for creating a strategic values. He has to refer environmental and environment. He has to examine economic, demographic, public policy, social and technological practices in order to go for establishing a strategic value. Secondly, the management needs to develop cultural values. Cultural values are the basic values that employee must process and possess and must follow in the order to help the organization performing their strategic value. So here, the first thing is first the organization has to develop the cult, go for to develop a culture. The first step is to create a strategic value. So how the strategic value is being created? By examining economic, demographic, public policy, social and technological practices, which in order to recognize the demands in the marketplace. So once the strategic value is being formed, the next step is to develop a cultural values which the employee possess and must follow in order to help the organization in performing the strategic value. Second one is create vision. Once the strategic and cultural values are developed, organization need to create a vision. So what is vision? Vision refers to the image of how organization would appear in the future. Third step is initiate implementation strategy. The first step, the step focuses on developing implementation strategy is based on its values so that the vision of the organization can be attained. Here, they have the strategies may include ranging from creating organization design to recruit and train the employees. Fourth step is reinforce cultural behaviors. The organization needs to keep a check on employee behavior and reinforce it if employees are deviating from their cultural values. So how they can do it? By how they can reinforce the cultural behaviors in the employees. Employees can be formally rewarded for their excellent behavior. They can be acknowledged, and organization undertakes such program which help the employees performing as per the vision of the organization. There are some barriers of organization culture. Culture limits organization to change as per the environmental demands. So here, which organizations are working in changing rapidly, but culture restrict the organization to act as per the demands of the changing environment. So culture sometimes go for limiting the organization to change according to the environmental demands. For example, if you're following the tradition things and suddenly there will be changes in the environment which will make you to go for the new style, but culture will make you uh, limits the organization to go for a change. Culture demands new employees to conform to its values. So when a new employee joins an organization, he brings him with a different culture. So rather than accepting a good characteristics of a new culture, the organization demands the new entrant to accept and adapt prevailing values and culture. So here, when a new employee enter to the organization, he comes with a new culture. But here in the organization, because of their prevailing culture, the person is made to accept and adapt the prevailing culture in the organization. Breakage of various business alliance. Today, many businesses are splitting because of strong cultures of the parties. The next thing we will see is organizational change. Organization change is a process in which an organization changes its structure, strategies, operational methods, technologies, or organization culture to affect change within the organization. To stay a step ahead of competition, companies need to look for ways to do things more efficiently. So here, organization change is a process in which organization gets changes in their structure, strategies, or any methods, or having some new technologies in the organization, so that they can go for having a change in the organization. So here, there is no need to fear for change. Here, some organization have to keep a change in the organization so that they can be ahead of the competition. So here, every organization has to go for a change, so that they can be more efficient in the environment. Next, we will see is goals of organizational change. So first goal of an organization change is to survive and grow. An organization brings about changes that are necessary for increasing their production, employee satisfaction, and motivation, and they can go for business development so that they can survive and have a growth in the environment. Organization development. Organization development refers to the enhancement of organization efficiency in the terms of satisfaction of employees. So, and organization performance. So here required changes are carried out in structure and design of the organization, processes, technologies, skills, so that they can make it more effective and they can go for developing the organization. Modifying behavioral patterns. Here organization get changes by means of having a training in the organization, by having motivation, changes in salary packages, improving working conditions of the employees, welfare measures given to the employees, skill upgradation, so that they can make their employees more happier, uh, more committed towards the organization, and they can be loyal. So these are the main goals of organization change. Next, we will see the organization change and employee communication, how it goes hand in hand. Communication is vital for getting effective changes in the organization. So to get a change in the organization, there should be a good employee communication. So employees has to be told why there is a change in the organization, why organization is going for a change. If there is a planned change, there will be an agreement of every practitioners. But if there are poorly managed communication, change communication results in rumors and resistance to change. So if there is not no good communication between the employees about the change happening in the organization, it might result in the rumors and resistance to change. One purpose of communication during organization change is to avoid resistance to change. Some of the key activities that help the organization achieve effective communication is during changes communication strategies. The Having a good communication strategy in the organization establishes the staff to understand why there is a change in the organization and what is the benefit out of the change. Choose a spokesperson. So the key messages and themes of the organization change are successfully communicated through a spokesperson. So if there is any you know misunderstanding of the in the employees, they can get through the spokesperson. So they must be able to deliver clear and coherent messages to the staff in the way they understand. That is why they go for choosing the spokesperson. Constant communication. Employee communication should always be proactive and released in timely manner. Uh, the messages should not be lost or distorted. It is important the employees are made aware of the reasons why the organization is going for a change. And there should be a two-way communication. Give your staff the opportunity to ask questions and provide ideas to go for a change. Communication channels, use the right media so that the right message can go for the staff, so that they can go for having a face-to-face staff meetings or electronic methods such as emails and intranet. Now we will see the different types of organization change. First one is happen change. So this is a type of change in which organization has little or no control. The changes like political factor, the changes which comes from political factors, marketing conditions, outbreaks of war, or technological obsolescences, natural disasters, or even by accident. So these are all happen change where organization has no control over the changes. Reactive change, the changes which are being implemented in the organization because of happen change. If there is a technological obsolescence, like there is no updation in technology, then they have to go for reactive changes. They have to get a new technology. Or if there is a natural disaster or any performance issues, they have to see that they can overcome all this by reacting to the happen change. Anticipatory change, it is a change that organization makes in anticipation on what is going to happen in the future for the better tomorrow. So here it will help the organization to be prepared for futures, and they are not being affected by any shortcomings. Planned change, so here the organization is being very proactive in nature, well thought out, well executed, and they go for re-strengthening their organization. So by carrying out a planned change, there will be no disruption or little disruptions. For example, switching to the newer or better technology. Strategic change, so here it is the overall changes in the fundamental objectives or goals of the organization. Nowadays the companies are going global. When they are going global, so they have to reinvent themselves to survive in the environment. Process oriented change, so here upgradation in technology, automation, computerization. Whenever there is a process oriented change, they also have to go for giving training to their employees, so that they can get well versed with the new processes, and also inform the benefits of change, so that there is no resistance to change. People oriented change, the changes are aimed in bringing about change in the behavioral pattern of the employees. They can have better interrelation, team spirit, job satisfaction, commitment, loyalty. So these changes are brought by giving special training, counseling, brainstorming sessions. Operational change, changes that are planned and carried out to increase operational efficiency. Like for example, getting some quality or pricing in some of the operations in the organization. For example, the basic operations of bank is to just accept the deposit and give loans. So how they can get a operational change? By they can go for performing better by giving more concentration on quality and pricing. Directional change, so it becomes very necessary for any organization to change its direction, either because of competition or for regulatory reasons. Directional change also can be done in an organization. Fundamental change here, this is the deep rooted changes that redefine or restate the purpose of the organization. It might happen because of the sudden changes in the external or internal environment. Total change, there are some times where organization go for a disaster, where they cannot come overcome the problem. At that time, it will be in such a mess that they have to go for a change, or they that time they have to go for total change. For example, like there will be mismanagement, catastrophic changes in the external environment, or managerial or employee pilferage like theft. So at that situation, they have to go for a total changes. Transformational change, due to the technological obsolescences like unfashionable or outdated technologies which is used by the organization. So if there is a change in demand and supply, or competition in the competitors, then they have to go for transform themselves. Structural change, it is a change which is in chain of command, delegation of authority, decision making process. Now we will see the process of organizational change. First step is identify the problem. So management first have to identify the problem, like poor quality of output, low productivity, delay in the production, weakness over the competition. So here first they have to go for checking whether there is something wrong going in an organization. If yes, recognize the cause for the problem. Why this problem is happening in the organization. If for example, if employee turnover is a major problem, then it is necessary to recognize the cause of the problem. Is it because of salary issue, poor working condition, low employee morale? So here the problem can be associated with technology adopted or marketing strategies. So first understand the problem, and then recognize the cause of the problem. Why there is a problem happening in the organization. Then go for implementing the change. The idea of change has to be sold to all the stakeholders, and they so that they can actively participate in the change process. Managers need to explain to them like the relevance of change proposed, why they are being carried out, how they will help the organization for the better tomorrow, the role of each one, or what they have to play in the change, the ways they wish they would be benefited. Motivating for change. Employees need to be motivated for change by informing about the change, benefits of change, so that they can welcome the change, ensuring the participation in the process of change, rewarding the employees who actively participate in the change. So that this is one type for the one type of motivation for the employees, so that they can go for a change. Managing the transition. People go for change, and change are periods of flux. Like it is not easy for the organization to go for a change. When the internal process are being reworked, there is a bound to be genuine doubt and misunderstanding. So here, whenever there is a period of change, there will be uncertainties, confusion, doubts, and resistance to change. So here there will be more of misunderstanding. So here the organization has to have good communication with the employees, telling so giving a solution to their doubts, or removing the misunderstanding. So here reporting structure roles are expected to alter and change, and till the new system stabilizes. So such conditions are bound to prevail. So here managing the transition, see that the transition happen in the organization between all these uncertainties, confusions, and doubts. Supporting the change. Stakeholder support for change is must. All efforts are made to explain the employees through training and education. Evaluating the change. Entire change process must meet the test of efficacy, and it has to reach the desired it has to meet the desired goal, what is being expected by the organization. And if the process has not reached the desired result, the process is to be repeated again. Now we will see the factors influencing the uh, organizational change. So here we will see when an organization's system is disturbed by some of the internal or external factors, change occurs frequently. So change as a process go for modification in the structure or process of a system. So it might be good or bad. The concept is descriptive only. So here there are external forces and internal forces which disturb the organization system, which forces the organization to go for a change. So we'll see one by one. So what is external forces? Every organization exists in the context of external forces. Changes in any political, social, economic, technology will lead the organization to go for a change. Changes may result in organization change like major functions, production process, labor management relation, nature of competition, etc. In order to survive in the changing environment, organization must go for a change. So here we have to see is how the organization has to go for a change because of certain external factors. Now we will see the external factors. Technology. When there is a change in the technology in the organization environment, the organization have to adopt a new technology so that they can be more competitive in nature. If they don't go for having a new technology, this might lose where they might have a less cost effective, and they might weaken their competitiveness. So it has to adopt a new technology in their work structure, so that they can go for balancing their competition. Marketing condition. So here every organization exports its output to the environment. So sometimes the marketing condition changes happen because of two forces. Other organizations supplying the same products, and buyers are not buying the product. Any changes in these forces may require suitable changes in the organization. So here, for example, when Indian economy was liberalized, many of the foreign organizations started entering the Indian market and started selling their products. So here, when that came into picture, the Indian organization were forced to realign themselves with the new situation. So whenever there is any effect of marketing condition, the organization has to change according to the trend in the market. Social changes. So social changes reflect in terms of people's aspirations. So their needs and their ways of working. Social changes take place because of several forces like education, urbanization, feeling of autonomy, and international impact due to new information sources. So here the social changes happen in people when there is a changes in education, urbanization, feeling of autonomy, and international impact. So it is required to make adjustment in its working uh, so that it matches the people. Political and legal changes. So whenever there is a political or legal changes in rules and regulations, the organization has to go for changes in its operation. Internal forces. So organization can not only because of external changes, they also have to change because of internal factors also. There are the two reasons are changes in managerial personnel. When the old manager is replaced by a new manager, the new manager come up with the new ideas, new working attitude in an organization, so that makes the personnel go for a change even though there are no changes required. The result in that an organization has to change according to the new managers. Deficiency in existing organization. Sometimes changes are necessary because of deficiency in its present working condition. The deficiency may be in the form of unmanageable span of management, large number of managerial levels, lack of coordination between the various departments. There is lack of uniformity in policy decision, lack of cooperation in line and stuff. So these are the some internal factors because of which the organization has to go for a change. The other changes in internal factors are nature of workforce. There are different generation working in the organization. Workers who are in the age group of 50, they go for having more loyalty towards their employers. Workers in their mid 30s or 40s, they go for being loyal to themselves. The youngest generations of workers is very much loyal to their careers. The profile of the workforce is changing very faster. So organization has to go for matching with all these workforce. To avoid developing inertia, in many cases, organization changes takes place just to avoid the inertia of inflexibility. Some people have the inertia like this is the way we work and it should be constant. The organization should go for changing so that they make their employees think that, or they should make their employees to go for a change, so that there won't be an unnecessary resistance for change. Next one, we will go for studying about the model that is Kurt Levin's force field model. Uh, this model is used for getting the change in the organization. Whenever the organization go for a change, it's a complicated journey, which is not easy for any organization. So according to this force field model, there will be certain stages which will make them go for having a stability in their change. So this picture shows the Kurt Levin's force field model. It has to unfreeze, change, and goes for freeze. We'll see one by one. Unfreezing. So this stage is concerned with minimizing the resistance to change. So here it is melting the deeply entrenched existing system so that the new system can be introduced in the organization. So here unfreezing is just melting the present existing system so that the new system can be introduced in the organization, and see that there is no barriers for change. So following task is being followed. Highlight and explain what is wrong with the present state of affairs. So when unfreezing, you have to be very clear to your employees, and you have to highlight and explain what is wrong with the present state of system. Explain the important benefits of going for a change. Help employees unlearn old attitudes and see that they learn the new behaviors and new skills. So clear all the doubts of the employees. Persuade all no changes people like who are resisting to change. They also go for a change by giving some rewards or motivation. See that individuals leave their comfort zone. So unfreezing is melting the existing system so that they can go for new system. How? By explaining and clearly telling them what is wrong with the present state, what is the benefit of going for a change, help employees unlearn the old attitudes and behaviors, clear all the doubts of the employees, and persuade the no changes employees to go for a change, and help people come out with the comfort zone. Second one is bring change or moving to the new level. That is, go for a change or transition. Once the employee accept the change, managers should bring forward the planned change. So this can be the best achieved by a process like identification. Go for identify how to get a change in the organization. Go for identifying some of the superior who is the first one to adopt a change and who will be a role model for their employees. So employees follow their superiors and go for learning a new ways of adopting the change. Then comes internalization. So this is like giving an individual the choice, swim or sink. They have to put in a situation where the new behaviors are expected from them and they do not go have any other choice. Then third stage is refreezing at a new level. So this becomes very important. Once the system is unfreezed and the new plan change has been put in the process, and now you have to refreeze it. It is the change, it emphasizes on the need for changes permanently. So whatever plan change has been implemented, it has to be permanently gone for a change, so that individuals do not go for or slip back to the old behaviors or practices. So here they have to go for transform the new behaviors into habits, and they have to go for continuous motivation towards the employee so that they don't slip back to the uh, uh, old system.